Tonight, NAFB recognizes a pioneer in farm broadcasting, a person who has shown courage and determination, along with style and grace. The first woman to lead our organization, Colleen Callahan. Colleen seemed destined for the spotlight from a young age. At 9 years old, she became the youngest exhibitor in history to show the Grand Champion Barrow, a Hampshire, at the International Livestock Exposition in Chicago. And that is where I first met her. To be on stage in Chicago with Dolph Hewitt and the Sage Riders was a great thrill for both of us. Colleen grew up near the town of Milford in Iroquois County, the daughter of Fran and Elaine Callahan. Her mother was a quiet and supportive parent. Her father, a bold and imposing presence who farmed, but focused most on their purebred swine operation. Colleen learned from both and matured into a very successful showman, speaker, and livestock judge. As a student at the University of Illinois, she knew that broadcasting was appealing as a career, but in the 1960s there were no women in the field. Frustrated with a print journalism major, she appealed to her advisor
and said, "I'd really like to get into broadcasting, but there aren't any jobs. What do you advise?" as my advisor. And he said, "Well, would you rather get a job doing something that you don't like to do and do it for the rest of your life? Or would you rather get your degree in something that you really do want to do and then try to find a job doing it?" That was the beginning of the ride.
Following graduation in 1973, she interviewed at WMBD in Peoria and prepared for the questions she knew management would ask.
What if we take a chance hiring you? And these farmers who listen to us question whether or not they should pay any attention to a woman who is delivering this information. Because we haven't had a woman doing farm broadcasting before, at least on our station we haven't. So how will you react to that? I said, I will use my dad as my model listener. And if I present the kind of information that I believe the listener is expecting in a clear, concise, understandable manner, it shouldn't make any difference if it's a man or a woman or a dog barking out that information.
She learned the trade of being a farm broadcaster and attended her first NAFB convention as a voting member, chaperoned by her mother.
I wasn't intimidated so much by what I was learning, but it was somewhat intimidating to be, at that time, the only young woman as an active member, voting member of the organization.
Not everyone acknowledged a woman broadcaster in a positive way.
For the most part, I felt welcomed, but there were a few who were not nearly as welcoming as the others.
In college, she met a strapping Marine who had just returned from Vietnam. She had to ask him out twice before he took her seriously, as they found they both had a love for the livestock industry and judging. Dick Burns is a larger-than-life presence, but the two of them didn't compete. They complemented each other, combined their talents, and Colleen happily changed her air name to Burns for one day.
I left for my marriage ceremony and my honeymoon and came back and went on the air the first day back, and the station manager called me in after I got off the air, and he said, "What did you say on the air today?" And I said, "Regarding what?" And he said, "Your name." And I said, "Colleen Burns." And he said, "Not here, it isn't. We've spent X number of dollars promoting the fact that we have a full-time farm broadcaster. We've done billboards, we've done print ads, and people are going to think that Colleen Callahan has left and Colleen Burns has arrived, and we are not starting over."
In November of 1980, Dick and Colleen became the proud parents of a daughter, Brittany. Her activities were the center of their world as she took part in school programs, sports, and livestock shows. When Brittany headed for college, Colleen took a new look at involvement in her professional association. She became vice president in 1999 and led NAFB through changing times, relocating the national office from St. Paul to Kansas City during her presidential year of 2002. For 3 decades, Colleen reported on agriculture for WMBD in her home region and across the country, even from Cuba. But her adventures as a broadcaster weren't over. She was the first of our members since Herb Lambeck to go into a war zone.
I answered the phone, and it was Ag Secretary Veneman's Chief of Staff asking me if I would be interested in accompanying her on a trip to the Middle East. So I quickly said I am very flattered to be asked. What an honor this would be. I said, I have a couple conflicts, which was true. So I said, thank you, I don't believe I'll be able to accept. And I thought about it all the rest of the day, and then Dick got home, and I said, oh, well, again, I had another interesting day. And I said, I got this call. And I said, but I'm not going. And he said, you're not going? And I said, the truth of the matter is, I'd be scared to go. I've never been in a war zone. I only know what I see, I only know what I read, and I'm scared. So I said I wasn't going. So he said, you have every reason to be scared. But he said, I got to tell you, one, if they didn't want you to go, they wouldn't have called, so I think they kind of want you to go. And secondly, you couldn't travel with any higher level of security than being with a cabinet member. What I really needed was just encouragement. I knew it was the right thing to do, and I knew it was an incredible honor to be asked. I just needed some encouragement. But I got up at 4 in the morning and emailed and said, if that offer still stands, I'll be at Andrews Air Force Base whenever you need me there.
Colleen served as a mentor to other broadcasters, bringing Carrie Muley into the station, Julie Root as an intern, and later scholarship winner, intern, campaign worker, and now WMBD farm director, Deanna Thomas.
In the Peoria area, everyone knows Colleen. She set up her own communications business and specialized in motivational speaking, promoting events, and conducting media training for agricultural businesses. With a name and reputation well established, she was asked to run for Congress in 2008. Colleen had been a lifelong Democrat, although most people did not know her political affiliation. It was an uphill campaign, with her opponent getting personal support from President George W. Bush. She made a strong showing, and what she did not get in votes, she received in experience. Colleen always says that experience is what you get when you don't get what you want. In July of 2009, she was appointed by the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture as the Illinois State Director of Rural Development. Serving in that capacity for the past 3 years, she and her staff are helping businesses and homebuyers receive loans and grants that bring good jobs and the quality of life to rural Illinois. She says that too much has been made of becoming NAFB's first woman president, but since her term, 4 more women have won the office.
To have been elected and to have served during the tenure that I did, I absolutely never once gave a thought to whether I would be the first. There were other women who ran before I did. Any one of them could have been the first, which was fine with me. It just didn't work out that way. So it was never really a goal to be the first woman.
In the last 10 years, 5 men and 5 women have been elected president of this great association.
It is with great satisfaction that we salute our fellow broadcaster, Dick's soulmate, Brittany's mom, Illinois' dedicated civil servant. The NAFB Hall of Fame now goes co-ed, with Colleen Callahan as its newest member.